guys, thanks so much for clicking on my channel. We're all stars over here. I am Will Sanja, like asking the question. Will Sanja help you keep a smile for today? Hope that the answer is yes, you guys. I'm trying not to keep it long, but y'all already know. If it gets good, I'm gonna keep on talking. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to go. The nugget today is when your mind is under attack. Listen, the enemy always comes to attack your mind. And when you don't really have a relationship with God, you're not putting in that time, then there's no way that you're spiritual minded. You're what? You're carnal minded, which means what? You're out of your mind. Why? Because you don't have the mind of Christ. That's why God says what? Let this mind be in you, which is also in what? In Christ Jesus. If you're not having the mind of Christ, then you're out of your mind, okay? And when you're out of your mind, then you have some thoughts, and those thoughts are not from God. They are for the enemy, and those thoughts sound like what? I'll never be nothing. I'll never have nothing. I'm going to die from this sickness. I just should just end my life. My marriage is not going to work. I'm not going to ever get married. I'm not going to ever have kids. My kids aren't smart. Those thoughts are just from the enemy. And so I'm telling you, when your mind is under attack of the enemy, and you'll know it if it's under attack of the enemy. Why? Because every thought in your head will be contrary to the will of God for your life. God said he comes that you may have life more abundantly. He knows the thoughts of you. They are of peace and not of evil. He comes to give you a future and a hope. But all those thoughts that's running through your mind because you lost your mind because you don't have the mind of Christ, all those thoughts are contrary. They're saying you're going to lose your job. They have you afraid of COVID. Or I'm going to die from COVID. What if I catch COVID? You got a whole lot of what ifs going on in your head. That's an attack on your mind. So when your mind is under attack by the enemy, please do this. Don't focus on your thoughts because they cannot be trusted. Instead, focus on what God knows. You hear me? Focus on what God knows about you. God knows that you are victorious. Why? Because he's given you the victory. He has already conquered this world. That's therefore what? You have the victory. God says no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And any tongue that rises up against you in judgment shall be condemned, right? You should condemn it. God said he is your protector, your provider. He's not going to let harm come your way. He got you covered. You got to stick with what God knows when your mind is under attack. But if you don't stick to what God knows and you start to pay attention to those thoughts in your head that are not your thoughts, because you've lost your mind, which means what? You don't have the mind of Christ, then you will find yourself meditating on those thoughts, therefore bringing it to pass, manifesting it into your arena. And then you'll start telling God, God, I thought you had me covered. And God said, you focused on the wrong thing. That's why I told y'all before, don't get distracted. Do not get distracted. Get the mind of Christ. Have a spiritual mind. It sounds hard, but it's really easy. How can it become easy for you to have the mind of Christ? You first got to get to know who they are. Just like I know my husband, I can do things the way my husband do. Why? Because I know him. I know what kind of food he likes, and because I know what kind of food he likes, I cook the food he likes. I know what kind of cologne he loves to wear. Therefore, what? I know to get that type of cologne if I want to buy him some. I know the clothes he wears. Therefore, when I want to buy him some clothes, guess what? I go and get what he like. Why? Because I have a mind like my husband. And vice versa. Vice versa with me, with him. The only way you can have the mind like somebody else is to know who they are. But if you have not been diving in deep to get to know Jesus, then there's no way you can have the mind of Christ. And that means to have a mind of the anointed. And the mind of Christ was just what? He was obedient to God. His vessel was obedient to God. And therefore, whatever God said, Jesus did. There was no doubt, no fear. Jesus understood that God did not give him the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and that of a sound mind. So when Jesus walked, he walked with authority. Fear wasn't present, none whatsoever. Therefore, whatever Jesus put his hand to do, whether to heal the sick or raise the dead, guess what? It happened. Why? Because he had the mind of his Father. He had the mind of his Father. And that is why he was able to do signs, miracles, and wonders. And that is the same reason why Jesus said we will do greater works than him. When we have the mind of the anointed one, right? Having the mind of Christ. Get spiritual minded. And then that way you'll be focusing on what God knows. And not only that, your thoughts will be what God knows, instead of you having the thoughts of the enemy. Everything contrary to God's will for your life. So listen, when your mind is under attack, don't focus on those thoughts. They cannot be trusted. Instead, focus on what God knows. Now get it, got it good? I hope so. But if you didn't, rewind this thing and watch again. But in the meantime, in between time, if you take just a little bit of what I'm telling you and apply to your life to the best of your ability, you won't ever the mask smile up, because your smiles will always be genuine. Be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed.